Today on Talk of the Town, we are at Horis A. Ward Funeral Homes right here in Stockbridge, Georgia. We will be meeting with Alec Ward as well as Rebecca Rose. She is the location manager here and she's going to give us all the details about celebration of 60 years, and Alec's going to share with us more about the history of this funeral home. So come on, let's go check it out. Welcome back to Talk of the Town. I'm here with Alec Ward, also known as Horis A. Ward of Horis A. Ward Funeral Homes. Alec, mind if I call you Alec?
That's fine.
So this place is amazing that you've kind of created here or curated here. Tell me a little bit more about how this got started. Tell me a little bit more about the history of Horis A. Ward and the service.
Well, that history goes a long way back.
Okay.
My dad's originally from this community, and when he and his sisters were growing up, they were musical, and so whenever there would be a funeral in the community, then they would invite he and his sisters to come, and one of them played the piano and the others would sing for funerals and other occasions. But that was his first exposure to it, and he developed a passion for it, and it had always been what he wanted to do for the remainder of his life. But he wasn't able to do that until later on. He was in his early to mid-40s when the opportunity came for him to actually have his own place.
Okay. Now, how did you guys go about the decision of here in Henry County?
Well, this is where he lived. He was born about 2 miles down the road.
Okay.
And it had always been a desire for him to come back to this community. That's when we started the cemetery, Fairview Memorial Gardens. And then later on, the funeral home moved down here to be adjacent to the cemetery.
Okay. Now, about how much property are we sitting on here?
It's close to 80 acres.
Now, did you guys start at 80 acres? Did you just grow into it, or?
Now, he originally started it. He bought some property from his father-in-law,
Okay.
who was a farmer and a landowner in this area. And with his desire to start the cemetery, he actually bought the first 20-25 acres from his father-in-law, and then later we bought additional property and so on until we accumulated what we have now, which is close to 80 acres now.
Wow, okay. So this year is a special year for you guys, I hear. I saw some signs on the way in that said it was celebrating 60 years of service.
That's exactly right. It was 60 years March 1st.
Okay.
That was a long time ago, 1959 actually, and
well, it was definitely before my time.
the original funeral home was in Decatur, up off Candler Road, and my dad started that. I was 15 years old at the time, and then I had a first cousin that worked with us that was 16 years old.
Okay.
And he and I started with my dad at that time, and neither one of us ever had another job.
Wow, so this is all you know?
It's all that I've ever done professionally.
Right.
So I've been here 60 years. Unfortunately, my cousin Ted Cash, who was well known in this community, he was one of the most beloved people here, died prematurely with heart issues. So he's no longer with us. But Ted and I came to work, as I say, on the first day. And neither one of us ever worked anywhere else. Maybe some other things we did casually, but as a job. He was a funeral director and embalmer, just the same as I was. We went to school, educated, and came back and worked with my dad for the remainder of those years.
Wow, so definitely some history here for sure.
Absolutely. We started on March 1st, that was on a Friday.
Right.
And we had open house on Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
But Friday night was the first night that we actually occupied the funeral home and stayed there. And we actually got a call that night.
Wow.
The first call, and it was a man that had watched us build the original building. That lived in that community. He'd come down there 2 or 3 times a week and watch, and he ended up passing away. And then we ended up doing 142 funerals the first 12 months it was in business, and that's larger than 80% of the funeral homes in the United States.
That's crazy.
And we did it, yeah, it was just absolutely. And then at one point went to as many as 950 funerals a year.
Wow.
And out of one location.
Wow.
So, I mean,
all right here.
No, not in this with the original location.
The original,
on campus. Well, it wasn't the original. The original was a small one. And then we outgrew it in about 5 or 6 years. It moved into a huge facility, had about 40,000 square feet of floor space in it with a full basement. And,
Wow.
So, and I wouldn't want to cover all of that, but just the rapid growth. Within 10 years, it became one of the top 10 funeral homes in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
And really, probably in the top 100 in the United States.
Wow.
But I mean, all that's not important other than the fact that it.
No, that's very important. That's the history and the growth of this place.
Right.
I mean, this is history I'm sitting in.
Right.
I didn't realize that.
And it was, as far as funeral services is concerned, it was one of the most phenomenal things that happened. It was funny. The original building was a tan brick. It was totally different. We used bright colors. We didn't use any dark colors. Our hearses were tan and gold. And my dad just was that kind of a guy.
Right.
And other funeral homes they'd come over and copy our building and everything, thinking that was the thing that was going to do it. So, but the thing that really caused the business to grow as rapidly as it did was my dad's personality. And so he was born here, and then he worked in the community. He was a music guy.
Right.
He led singing at churches. He did revivals. He was the president of most every civic club that ever existed. And he sold life insurance prior to starting the funeral home, and he sold those little original debit policies where you went by every week, collected a premium, and he'd been in about every house. And
so he knew everyone.
He knew everyone, and he was very social.
Yeah, that's a prime setup for owning your own business in the community.
Absolutely, and a very generous person. Nobody knows. I have people tell me all the time that they had a baby to die or a family member and they were struggling, and he took care of it for them.
Wow.
That was just his personality because he's growing up. They didn't have anything, so he wasn't accustomed to having anything,
right.
And it didn't bother him. So, that's kind of the history of it. And to me, the growth part of it is probably as important as the history where it started and so forth.
Totally
that he was able to. And it was interesting because he lived about 2 miles down the road, and he had 4 sisters and a brother who was older. And when he was 12 years old, his dad was murdered by an eccentric neighbor. And so he quit school when he was 12 years old and had to go to work to support the family, and never went back to school. So he only had like a 7th grade education.
Right.
But he became one of the largest funeral directors in the United States. And we actually owned the cemetery. At one time, we manufactured our own vaults. He was county commissioner in DeKalb County for 10 years.
Very well plugged into every community he touched, it sounds.
He started the first EMT program, the 3rd program in the United States.
Wow.
With DeKalb County. They started it in the mid-70s, and it was the first EMT program in the Southeast. He started 911 in DeKalb County.
Wow. When
he was a commissioner too. So for a guy with a 7th grade education.
He did a lot.
Yep. He was great, and that's what motivated the growth. We just came along and ran it for him.
Right. Well, excellent. That's definitely a lot of good history, a lot of good connections with the community, and I can see why the 60-year celebration exists. So that's definitely an amazing event for you guys, and I applaud you. That's pretty awesome.
It was. I agree, and the credit goes to him. Because he was just persistent, exactly.
Visionary.
And persistent, and just enjoyed being with people.
Right.
That was his life, was being around people.
Now, so $1 million question. Is he buried on the property?
He is. Right out here on the top of the hill, and there's a slab over his grave with a legend on it about some of the things that he did.
Wow.
And then in addition to those things, in his later years, retirement, he started collecting banjos. He was a picker. Huh. And then once he got to where he didn't have to work that much, he started collecting banjos. And they were a particular kind. Musical people know the difference, but originally banjo was 4 strings.
Right. And
then the bluegrass people came along, put a 5th string on it.
Okay.
Well, they don't communicate. In other words, there's 5 stringers and there's 4 stringers. And he was a 4-stringer, which is the old riverboat, the strummers. And he started collecting this particular kind of banjo. It's called a Bacon and Day, which was built back around the turn of the century, 1900. And at one time he had the largest collection in the world.
Wow.
And he'd have people call him from Europe, from the Orient over there looking for banjos like that or wanting parts for it. And then he started what was called the Southland Banjo-Rama, which was a convention that started meeting in Atlanta of just 4-string. Now, if other guys came, they wouldn't tell them they couldn't come in.
You got 5 strings, you can't come in here.
Right, yeah. It was a 4-string banjo. And I think at one time they registered as many as 250 or 300 people at that convention. And
now, out of everything that your father touched, what would you say was the most accomplished piece?
well, the funeral home.
The funeral home, definitely.
Yeah.
Because it sounded like he had a lot of
he did. Yeah.
different, community connections with the 911 and, everything else that he touched. It's just amazing to me.
But the funeral, to do what he did with the limited resources that he had and to grow it to what it did was just, in that particular element of business,
Right.
it was just unheard of.
That's unheard of.
I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
It just, I doubt that there's anything like it anywhere in the history of funeral service, because those kind of things generally don't happen. Funeral homes are generational.
Right.
In other words, usually somebody starts it and then a family member will go, or
it up,
somebody that
right.
works there will buy the business
Right.
from them. And we had no history. He had no connection with any funeral home. And he just started.
What better way to start it, though?
Exactly. And I was blessed to be there at 15.
Right.
So I learned it. And of course, that's all I've ever done. It's a
Like I said, the rest
full-blown
is history, right?
occupation. Exactly right. Yeah. And so that what brings us to here.
Alec, I definitely appreciate your time today. Definitely appreciate learning more about the history of this wonderful place, wonderful establishment you have here. And it's mind-blowing to me how much history was right up the street from me.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, we wrote a book about him. It's out of print right now, the story of his life.
Right.
And the title of the book was, "Hey There, I'm Horis Ward." Because that's what he used to do whenever he met anybody.
I was about to say, it sounds like an intro.
He'd just walk up. He didn't care if it was the President of the United States or the janitor. He treated them all the same.
All the same.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's the way he was.
There you go. When we come back, we'll be meeting with Rebecca Rose, location manager for Horis A. Ward Funeral Homes. She will be giving us more information about the 60-year celebration as well as upcoming events right here on Talk of the Town.
Warning: your computer may be infected.
Thank you for choosing Ramtech. This is Nikki. How may I help you?
At Ramtech, our team is committed to helping you solve all of your computer and IT problems. Whether it's computer repair, backup and IT solutions, network security, email management, or phone support, we have you covered.
Here at Ramtech, we make IT simple. So we're back with Rebecca Rose with Horis A. Ward, and she's going to tell us a little bit more about the 60-year celebration and some of the events around the year that you guys do and some of the families you touch.
Thank you. Here at Horis Ward Fairview Chapel, we are excited to be in the community over 60 years. They're giving us our trust and allowing us to serve the family.
Yeah, Alec told us all about that history, that rich history right here on these grounds. So
yes.
Definitely am engaged now. I need to know more.
Well, one of the things I want to share with you, not only Horis Ward has many traditions, we have now partnered with over 10 years with a Dignity Provider. Dignity Provider is basically one of the largest organizations that own funeral homes and cemeteries. We do a lot with our families. We have sister locations out of state. So being with Horis Ward Funeral Home, we have other affiliates that are actually in North Carolina, New York.
So it's nationwide, right? Because I've seen some throughout the nation.
Yes, so we are very happy to be a part of the Dignity organization. So Mr. Ward is definitely instrumental in helping us continue the tradition.
Right.
But we are joint partners with Dignity to help us do new things in the community.
Okay.
So some of the things that we offer to our community, for example, as far as Easter sunrise service. Easter sunrise service comes, of course, once a year, and a lot of our families that would like to participate in that service in our cemetery. We basically have a nice guest speaker right before Easter, come together and have prayer and worship, and we also have a little fellowship with our church across the street with breakfast.
Now you guys partner with multiple churches in the area, because I go to church in McDonough.
Yes.
And I know that there's a connection to McDonough as well for the sunrise service
All are welcome. We do advertisement, we definitely welcome, and we make phone calls. Anyone that wants to come, we're definitely welcome to come do so.
Excellent.
A couple of other things that we offer, we also offer a Mother's Day. We definitely Mother's Day celebration. We definitely offer different tributes to our mothers, grandmothers. We have a lot of family members that are here that have loved ones in our cemetery next door. So we definitely offer a flower tribute. We offer, again, flower placement program. With our flower placement program, what we like to do is let families know that 4 times a year, if you can't be here to place flowers in your loved one's grave, we have a team of people to do so. So that's something else that we want to offer. And even if you can't physically come back and see the flowers that we place seasonal, we also have pictures we contribute to the families, to send to the families, let them know about their flower placement program.
Very cool, very cool.
Something else that we offer is Memorial Day. Memorial Day is a big celebration for us. Not only as in Veterans Day, we fly over 700 flags. So for Veterans Day, like today, also when it comes to Memorial Day, we have a community day. We have a nice barbecue.
Did you say 700 flags?
Over 700 flags.
You guys put out 700 flags?
Not me. We have a team of people. We have a lot of people that assist us. And again, hopefully you'll have some presentation we can share with you with pictures. But we have a lot of people that are hands on deck to help out. It's a team effort.
How long does that take? That just got my curiosity going.
Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. A long time.
Okay.
But I just worked it. We have a lot of veterans in our community, have a lot of veterans in our cemetery. So it's a tribute to them on Memorial Day and Veterans Day. We definitely enjoy doing that for our families.
Very cool. Very cool.
Something else that we would discuss, I would say more our annual remembrance service. So at the end of the year, during the holiday times, it's very hard for families. We definitely want to help families outside the funeral. And lots of times, some families need counseling. So we do offer a 24-hour compassionate helpline to all of our families. And we want you to know that we're still here during the holiday times. So we have different brochures and different literature that we offer. But throughout the end of the year, we have special guests, sometimes a minister, sometimes a counselor to assist our families. So those families that we serve throughout the year, we invite them to come back, and we have an opportunity to meet and greet over fellowship. We have a luncheon and brief luncheon for the family, and just kind of greet them, let them know we're thinking about them during the hard times and the holiday. And then we also offer to them basically a nice little keepsake. We have different ornaments and different things that we like to do special for our family, even a video tribute. The different family members that send us pictures, we definitely offer a nice video tribute in remembrance of their loved one during the holiday season.
Excellent. Well, you guys are definitely community driven, I can tell.
Yes, yes
definitely
we are.
Definitely in the community. I can see why 60 years is a celebration.
It's a great celebration, and we're grateful for the trust the community has given to us. So we're very excited about it. A lot of things that we're doing as far as being innovative and trying to do things new in the community, but we are definitely excited about celebrating our service to the community.
Well, excellent. Well, thanks, Rebecca, for taking the time to give us more information about the services here, as well as the community events, or I guess community involvement, really, because you guys are more than invested in the community, for sure. So you mentioned earlier about being more innovative in the community and innovative in what you guys do for service offerings. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Yes, it's very, very exciting. A lot of times our families that we serve, we definitely want to encourage how one's life is celebrated. Everyone has a story. Every story needs to be told. One of the things that we ask our families to do is to help us tell that story. So a life well celebrated is when the opportunity for families to help us help them personalize. So here at our facilities, we have contacted one of our local restaurants to help us with our food. When it comes to celebrating one's life over food and just sharing memories, is a great opportunity for families to connect and come together. What we do is we kind of personalize the room. From if a person loved cars, to if a person loved balloons, or a person loved gambling, you'd be surprised what people love. But we enjoy all the different attributes and things that we can help the family bring that person's life to fruition and just share with the community.
And that's your celebration of life?
Life well celebrated.
Life well celebrated,
yes.
I'm sorry.
Being a dignity provider, we have a lot of different options for our families, but again, that's one of the main things that we're definitely promoting now. Let people know in the community that we are definitely celebrating one's life in every occasion versus cremation or a funeral. Everyone's life is well celebrated here.
Excellent. Thank you, Rebecca, for sharing the information today on Horis A. Ward and some of the fine things you guys are doing here in the community. It really was a pleasure meeting with you guys and learning the history and everything else you guys have going on with the 700 flags and the Easter sunrise service and the memorial service.
Barbecue,
I mean, it's everything community about this place.
Thank you so much.
That's what we love to show.
Thank you so much. Again, we want to thank our community for entrusting us. 6 years is a long time, so we appreciate it. And again, we want 60 more years of your trust, and we just thank you again for allowing us to help and serve the family. Thank you for this opportunity.
If someone needed to find out more about you guys, how would they do that?
Yes, we have a very nice website. On that website, you can look at more information about pre-planning information. We definitely have personal planning guides that we give to all families that's needed. We have a lot of different brochures and information in regards to just what happens, anything that happens to your loved one, or who to call if a death occurs. Just a lot of very informative information. So definitely look at our website. It's a very nice website, very informative to our community.
Excellent. Thank you for watching Talking the Town. If you know someone who would like to be a guest on the show, please email us at info@scbtv.com. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.